We continue to be committed, and we certainly, throughout this whole crisis that you just mentioned, also never stepped back. We see the opportunities, but more importantly, we see our goal of being a partner to the people, to the governments, to the whole continent. Should there be the possibility, we could increase our funds. Certainly, I can say that for the north of Africa, the situation that has been holding the region for the last year has slowed down a little bit our financing there. For sub-Saharan Africa, I can say that our lending has definitely kept up and maybe a little bit increased too.
Okay, we're going to talk about the numbers in a short while, but let's first of all talk about whether you are seeing greater investment opportunities in Africa than you're seeing in other parts of the world. I'm particularly talking about, of course, maybe in Eastern Europe and Central Europe.
Well, I think that the investment opportunities as well as the investment needs are great even in other parts. What I can say, since you challenged me on Africa, is that we see that here in Africa there's all the good work that has happened in the last 5-10 years in terms of governance, in terms of institutions, that has basically led to more bankable investments, more investments that are mature, more investments that can be profitable. And indeed, yes, we see more of an investment demand, good investment demand here in Africa looking at us. But I wouldn't want to say that in other parts of the world we don't see that also, including the European Union.
Okay, sure, I understood. Let's talk about numbers. What exactly are you looking at in terms of the money that you're putting into Africa? Let's compare last year versus this year at the same time.
Yes. Well, last year, the total of our financing was about 1.3 billion euros for the whole of the continent. And this was down from more than 3 billion euros the year before that. Okay. And the reason for that is, of course, understood. This year, we're looking to increase that number because we're hoping that the processes that are underway in the north will basically lead to more economic development. And certainly Sub-Saharan Africa, we stand by our figures.
Yeah, so where are you putting this money?
Well, as you heard, the number is not, amazing compared to the needs of the continent. Sure. So we have to specialize. Sure. And we found that our value added is in infrastructure financing and in the development of the private sector. Right. And the latter means cooperation with the local financial sector to finance small and medium-sized enterprises. Right. So I would say the vast majority of our financing is for infrastructure and for the development of the private sector through partnerships with local banks.
Are we talking Pan-African? Are we talking national commitments here?
Both. We have very much a focus on regional development because we know that a big part of what will help each individual country is the process of regional integration. So we finance regional infrastructure projects, but we also finance infrastructure projects that are specific to a country. Yeah. And also in terms of banks, we finance Pan-African banks and we also finance local banks.
Are you finding it difficult or are you finding it easier to raise money to invest in Africa than compared to before?
No, I would say in terms of our total access to the financial markets, we are basically doing very well. And in terms of our ability to finance investments in Africa, our funds are actually completely segregated from anything else. We don't have to raise them in the market. They come from the European Union budget, from a development fund, and they're there. They're there for us to use them in financing in Africa.
Let's talk returns. Now, when people talk about Africa, they say, of course, there's higher risk, and therefore, sometimes when you are committing, there's greater demand to make sure that you protect yourself as much as possible, and therefore, in turn, sometimes that does lead to higher returns. Mm-hmm. Do you find returns from Africa higher than other parts of the world? I'm just hoping you can give me some numbers here.
Yes, well, numbers a little bit difficult. I can tell you that we're a little bit of a strange bank, a different bank, in the sense that our biggest concern is to maximize the development impact of our financing. Certainly not our profits or our returns. And we do find here that in Africa we can find projects that have a high development impact, but also we don't lose money. We have very good, we have found that we have had very good projects that have given us returns. I cannot give you, specific figures, but the returns have been good.
Sure. Finally, give me a sense. as an investor in Africa, are you finding that things are improving in terms of what an outside investor would require out of Africa? Or are there still really bad spots where, governance and other issues are a big problem and, you find it difficult to come in and invest?
Well, I alluded to that earlier. The last 5-10 years, we
Yeah.
have seen a tremendous progress in terms of
Is
governance.
that across the continent, or is this specific regions?
Some more than in other parts.
I'd love it
but
if you could name the bad boys.
I cannot, but I think they know who they are. But the whole process does not stop there. There's a lot more that needs to be done, and there's a lot more that could be done.
What?
And this will be in terms of building institutions, in terms of having stable environments. What will make the private sector have more of, let's say, solid ground to stand on,
Yeah.
and in order to finance it.